Welcome to the Powerful Personal Brand Podcast, where I and my guests share tips to help and inspire you to build a great personal brand to increase your visibility and authority. I am your host, Claire Bond, and on today's episode, I am joined by Anders Boulanger. Please let me know what 3 tips that you can give the audience.
Can I give 5 if I give them fast?
Yeah.
No, it's just the reason I say that is if you play back, you're going to hear a lot of tips and a lot of things that have already happened. But I didn't kind of say, get out a piece of paper and write this down, okay? But this is an acronym we use that really plays off of the psychology or the neuroscience behind engagement, okay? And I call it SAVE You. So it's SAVEU, okay? And when you don't have engagement, when you know people aren't paying attention, this will save you, okay? So that's how this works. So first of all, the S is simplify, okay? We need to make things easy. Our brain is 2% of our body weight, and yet it consumes 20% of our energy. So if we get confused, we get overwhelmed, I call it cognitive backlog, which is a little technical, so I don't want to overwhelm you with that, but that's what it's called. We tend to tune out because we don't want to burn the calories on it. So whatever you talk about, make sure you have reduced it down to lowest common denominator words, right? Make it so that everybody understands and you don't leave anybody behind, okay? In terms of jargon, that sort of thing, okay? So simplify, okay? That's the S. The A is authority, okay? Credibility, right? It doesn't just mean, letters at the end of your name in terms of designations and degrees and, things like that. Sure, that's fine. Maybe how you're introduced might help pre-frame you, right? You read my introduction on the front end. People go, oh, interesting. I want to hear what this guy has to say, right? There's that side of things. But the most important part of this is really how you carry yourself, right? How you show up. And Claire, if I came on your podcast and I was like, yeah, my name is Anders and I'm an engagement specialist and I'd like to share a few, right? Boring. And also, does he know what he's talking about? Like just the way, and that's the thing. When people are nervous, that's how people can come on, right? So that level of comfort and authenticity has to be in there. So talk about what you do with passion, with a mission, be congruent about it. And people will resonate with you and people will just kind of like feel what you're trying to, express. Okay.
Right.
So that's the authority piece. The V is visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or varying the senses. Now, the sentence I just said before here, I said that people can feel what you're expressing. That's a kinesthetic term, right? If I talk about...
This is where the whole physics degree comes in?
No. So if I talk about something auditory, meaning I talk about something and you're listening to me right now in this podcast, you might hear a few things. I just used 3 auditory words there, right? Talk, listen, hear. Okay? If you were visual, you're watching this as a video, you're going to see me using my hands a lot because I'm a visual person and I express myself by painting pictures with my hands, right? If I had to sit on my hands, I couldn't do it, right? So when you see what I'm doing, that's all visual side of things. And Claire, you probably have a preferred system of those 3, okay? And if we talk long enough, I'd probably pick up what it is. But when you are talking to many people, right, you're presenting to the masses or an audience, you cannot play to each individual person. So a shotgun approach is what we recommend. So the idea is we are varying, this is a real technical term, varying the modality of our language patterns. But you're basically just using auditory, visual, kinesthetic words interchangeably. So sometimes I'll say, Claire, are you picking up what I'm putting down right now? Does that make sense? Right? That's an kinesthetic term. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Right? Is this clear? That's a visual term. I would never use them on top of each other like that, but I would be changing them around. And when I started doing this in my trade show presentations, and you got to understand, a trade show, it is often 90 decibels. It's louder than an airplane engine in there. The din, right? Just all the sound. I'm wearing a microphone. It's super loud. Sometimes I've got I've been in a booth where I've got Tony Hawk doing a skateboard demonstration beside me. I've got the Mountain from the Game of Thrones behind me for, in a celebrity appearance, right? And then I had one of the Golden State Warriors about 10 booths back behind. There's all these things that people want to go see, super high distraction. When I found that I could paint a picture in people's minds, it goes into their unconscious more, like storytelling. That BAK thing is important. So how can you make people experience what you're saying better? You add those senses. Okay? So we got simplify, authority. The V was VAK, varying the senses. And the E is emotion. And this really plays into this, right? We want to elevate the moment. We want to make something special. We want to make people feel something. And if you look, at a presentation that you might be doing, or even an elevator pitch or something, you might want to look at, what is it you want people to feel? And if you feel that first, you're going to mutually influence them through the rapport that you have, through the stories you tell. That when we create emotions, it becomes a mental sticky note in your brain. It creates a peak experience. And when we look back on our day, we're really only going to remember the peak experiences. So if we want to be remembered by people, we need to make them feel something. And in the technology world that we play in, there's not a lot of feelings, Yeah. But we can have a laugh. We can wallow in the pain of being frustrated in the certain status quo. When I'll often hold up a picture of a frustrated man pulling his hair out, and I say, look at this guy. How many people have ever felt the way this guy feels? Raise your hand. And you notice I just say, look at this guy. How many people have ever felt the way this guy feels? I did the VAK right there. But when they see that picture of that man, and then they raise their hand and they'll kind of nod their head in shame, like, yeah, no, that's me sometimes. They're feeling that pain temporarily. And I'm making them feel that so that I can then take them to the promised land, take them to the solution of where they're going. That would be your company and how you can help people, right? And so then when we go to that promised land, it's not how frustrated this guy is. How many people have been there? I'm not talking like that. I'm talking, hey, this is how it is. Stress-free. It's easy. We're talking about it in a different way. Now we're uplifting them. Okay, so that's how we can influence people with your emotions. Okay. So SAVEU is the letter U, but I'm using it as YOU. You focused. We want to be focused on them. This is the old cliche. What's everybody's favorite radio station? WIIFM. What's in it for me? Make it about the other person, and they will pay attention. And again, going back to that neuroscience, if something is to benefit me or if something is going to threaten me, I want to know about it for my survival, right? So one of the tricks that I recommend for when you're writing an email, it's the easiest, is when you write an email to a prospect, customer, client, what have you, count the number of yous and yours compared to the we's, mine, ours, right, that you're using. Because pretty quickly you go, oh, I'm making this about me, right? You want their attention. What is the benefit to them, right? Or what danger, what problem are they going to avoid by paying attention to it? And so you make it about them. And that's the you focus piece. So whenever you feel you're losing attention, how can we re-engage? Use Save You.
I love that. That is great.